Hello, it's Travis Edwards with another mental check. Take a shot of your positive vibes. Let's go! So today we're going to talk about something called the Teachability Index. And this is something that is very, very huge right now because we're in a challenging time. But if your teachability index is not high, you're going to have some problems. And keep in mind, I am not judging. I'm not saying I know all the information, but I'm going to teach you what I know and how you can apply it to your life. So what is this thing called the teachability index? Well, it has simply two variables. One, what is your willingness to learn? Two, what is your willingness to accept change? One being, what is your willingness to learn? Two being, what is your willingness to accept change? You want to be on a scale of 1 to 10, you want to be a 10 in each one of those every single day. Every single day. Why? Because if you don't have a high teachability index, then chances are you won't make a lot of moves in your life. Chances are. And let me explain this. So your goal, as I said, is to have a 10 in each one of those categories. So what's your willingness to learn? So most of us after school, the learning, even for me, after school, the learning stops. But honestly, your real journey begins and your real learning begins right after school. For every successful person, and obviously we can measure success as any person that goes after their goals. But any successful person, they didn't learn everything in school. They learned a lot of the stuff after school and they kept learning. The more they learned, the more they actually earned, the more that they impacted other people's lives. So your goal is to always have a high willingness to learn. Definitely always want to. So whether it's pouring into self-development programs, reading, getting information, ask yourself, what is it that you want to learn that you haven't been learning? What is it that you have been procrastinating on? You definitely want to have a high willingness to learn, a 10 out of 10. Now, check this out. Because there's those two variables, when we multiply them, it might, if you get 10 in each category, that will equal 100. 10 times 10 is 100, right? Now, if you have a high willingness to learn, but not a high willingness to accept change, that's 10 times 0. That's 0. You have a willingness of 0 to, overall, you have a 0 teachability index. So you always want to have 10 in each category. So that's your willingness to learn. Now, what is your willingness to accept change? As I said, we have a crazy coronavirus outbreak right now. And I caught myself in the first week and a half, really starting to listen to the media, start to obtain the information, start to freak out. And for that particular time period, my teachability index went down because I wasn't willing to accept change. I could not see past, this new normal that we're experiencing right now. So during this time, I want to ask you, what is your willingness to accept change? What is it that you need to change over the next course of weeks, days? Is there things that you need to give up? Things like TV, social media. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with social media. There's nothing wrong with TV. There's a time and place for all of it. But if you're trying to get to a certain level or a certain area in your life right now, and you're not willing to accept change, then forget it happening. I'm being honest with you. It's not going to happen if you're not willing to accept change. If you really want to go somewhere, it requires a lot of sacrifice. But you will not sacrifice if you're not willing to accept change. That's it. There's nothing more to this than that. You want to have a high teachability index every single time. Again, the two variables being what's your willingness to learn. So just to recap that, what is it that you're willing to continue to learn? Every single year, I spend a certain amount of money on self-development programs, things that I need to learn, whether it's, ask yourself, you need to learn communication skills. You need to learn things about money. You need to learn things about relationships. You need to learn things about whatever it is it may be. Think about your ability to want to learn that thing. If you don't want to learn it, you won't learn it. It's simple as that. So make sure you have a 10 out of 10 in the willingness to learn. And secondly, what is your willingness to accept change? You want a 10 out of 10 in this category as well. So check yourself every single day. And how are you willing to adapt in this particular situation? And what is it that you need to sacrifice on a daily basis to hit your goals? What are your goals? What is it that you need to do in order to get to those goals? What is it that you need to take out of your life or reduce in order for you to get there? It might be your environment, most importantly. And that's a discussion for another time. So I hope you guys learned this today. Teachability Index, this is a huge principle. It was the hardest thing for me to learn. Ultimately, I remember when I was living at home, my mom and my sisters, I used to love watching something called basketball all the time. And I could not get away from missing a game. But when I was ascending to a certain level, I had to cut back sports. It's almost to the point I don't even watch sports until the playoffs now, and I don't even care. Sports is not on, and it doesn't even faze me. What is it that you're willing to accept change in? That's it, guys. I'm not going to draw this out any further. High Teachability Index, you want a 10 out of 10 in each category. You want 100 every single day. And if you're not there, ask yourself, what is it that you need to do to get to 10? Always ask yourself that and watch how your situation changes inside of a year. Watch. Guys, thank you so much for joining. See you guys tomorrow.